Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be talking to you about the first half of the week of pro wrestling. So that's going to be NWA Power, their first night of the NWA 77 taping, and AEW Dynamite, which both were really good episodes. And we'll get into them. So buckle up, buckaroos. We're going in as we start with NWA Power, the NWA 77 taping. Now, I don't know if I missed a little bit because I was trying to set up, watching and taking notes. But apparently we are starting with the NWA Junior Heavyweight title. I don't know if I missed like a promo or something. So, I'm just going to start here. We got Alex Taylor defending against Rich Swann. This is Swann's second match for the promotion. And, this was honestly a really fun opener. Really good back and forth. But then here comes Alex Taylor cheating. He pushes the ref into Rich Swann. Rich Swann pushes him out of the way. Low blow with the ref's back turned. And then a green whistle to pick up the win and retain the title. And apparently he is going for the record, which is held by, I know they said the name, I forget the name. So, honestly, fun opening matchup. I would say I would recommend it, but there are some way more interesting matches coming up. Speaking of, we get the Clones in the back. They're in like some pre-recorded promo thing. And they say, we've taken some time off the NWA since the Crockett Cup, but we're back here and we want to be number one contenders. So, they're still going for the tag titles. And we'll see that transpire in a minute. But first, we see Mike Mondo. He's on a pier somewhere. Now, this taping took place in Huntington, New York, which is... well, it's not that far from me, but it's not like my backyard. So, I would like to think I would know where this was. I have no idea where it is. So Mondo pretty much says, who's he talking about? Brian Idol, I think he's talking about. You think you're big and bad. This ring is my sandbox, and when you step in the ring with me, you're in the ring with a wrestling machine. You're looking at the next television champion. So, we'll see that. I believe that match is next week. So, no, it's the national title. He's talking about Mims. That's right. I had it a little backwards. So, anyway, then we cut to another promo in which 3 in a row. That's a little weird. But it's Aaron Stevens. He's with Carson Drake. With Stevens saying, I'm getting back into the ring next week. While I haven't wrestled in a while, I know the Derby well, and I know you, my opponents, are donkeys. So, that's funny. Before Drake can get a word out, in walks the Slime Balls, who we'll see in a minute. With them saying, look, I know you've been helping us a lot, Stevens. We're here to help you next week. So Stevens kind of rolls his eyes, points off screen somewhere. So, look, you want a cookie? There, it's over there. So the slime balls run off like a couple of little kids looking for sweets. Then Carson Drake turns to Aaron Stevens and says, why do you keep them around? They're like dogs. And Stevens turns to the camera, smiles. So, Aaron Stevens has a plan for the slime balls. I'm not 100% sure what, but Apparently they're going to be in this big team war that's coming. So we'll see about that. Anyway, on to the next one, and it's a 4-way elimination tag match where the winner goes on to challenge for the NWA tag titles at a later date. So our participants, we have Nightmare Sin, which is Zion, who is Austin Idol's son, and Frank, which is a weird name. I'll give you that. Their opponents, BFT, who come out with Aaron Stevens. The Colognes, Primo and Epico, in which NWA bring their brother/cousin in. Let's get Carlito in here. And the final team, the Slime Balls. So we had Sage, who is the smallest member of this match, starting out with Frank. Sage is doing everything he can to avoid Frank. Then Damage tags himself in. They lock up for a minute. Then Frank tags in Zion. Zion gets a little beat up for a little while. Then Aaron Stevens from the outside trips up Zion. Damage with a roll-up for the first elimination, Nightmare Sin. So they're starting to walk off. Then we get an ad, which, I'm going to say this, I do not like this. Then we get a Brian Idol promo, like right in the middle of the match before the ad, with Idol saying, I'm a person you build a promotion around, but this, later on tonight, I'm going to take on Joe Ocasio. Joe, you are great, but who's going to save you now? Then we get a weird kind of old school / new school hype video for the NWA, which I thought was pretty nice. Merging some footage from, like, say, Ric Flair's era to now. So I thought that was pretty cool. We come back to action. Damage is still looking down at Nightmare Sin. Then we see Aaron Stevens up on the apron, loads up his glove, clocks Damage right in the face. So then, I believe it was Chance that covered Damage to lead to BFT's elimination. So, yeah, that's very interesting. It looks like Aaron Stevens is done with BFT. I'm not sure what's going to happen with BFT. I hope they, eventually unmask, because I know who's under the masks. Damage and Carnage. I believe Carnage is the former Marche Rocket. If you don't know him, he's a very athletic dude. And then Damage is, I forget the dude's name. I think it was the former Crowbar back in the day. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But, yeah, that might be it for BFT in the NWA. Although, we'll see. So this brings in, our final two participants. We got Epico and, Sage in. Sage spits on his hand, goes for the handshake. Epico pushes it out of the way. Epico with some massive moves to Chance Sage. And then he tags in Primo. Sage tags in Rant. Rant just straight up hocks a loogie in Primo's face. Primo with a big knee tags in Epico. Goes for a shoulder block that misses. Rant with a big old enziguri. And as Sage was about to get in the ring and continue the offense, Primo distracts him. Epico with a big old backbreaker. And then Epico tags in Primo. Primo goes for the dropkick that misses. Rant with the leg sweep. Couple of sentons, only for 2. And a little later on, Primo then just starts biting on his opponent for a little bit. Goes for the fish drop. That gets blocked. Epico and Tommy Rant get in. They clothesline each other. Rant with an atomic drop and then some combination strikes. Big old headbutt. A senton. Tags in Sage. They hit the Snot Rocket, which is a great name for a setup move. Only gets a 2 count. Then Rant clotheslines Primo out of the ring. Then Aaron Stevens gets into the ring. It looks like he has his glove loaded up. But then Epico pushes Sage into Aaron Stevens. That knocks him for a loop. Then hits a backstabber to pick up the win. Again, another fun, entertaining matchup. Personally, I love some tag team wrestling. It did go a little quicker than I would have liked. But again, still very entertaining. Then we go to what looked like a previously recorded video after Tom Latimer's world title match from last week, where he says, "Last week I beat the dragon, I slayed the monster, and I was asked how I feel about the match with Thrillbilly." I almost said Hillbilly, that would have been wrong. "Silas, I expect you to bring your best, because you know I will. I'll see you next time." So then we get a video recap of the Mims Pope situation and their match from last week. Then we get a Pope promo. He's in the ring, he's dressed to the nines, and he says, "What a night this is. At NWA 77, Pope is celebrating history." That gets a nice little cheer. He then continues, "Unfortunately, due to injuries I sustained against Mims, I haven't been cleared to compete tonight. And you know what they say, a foolish man operates blind, but I will get my revenge in my own way." Talking to Slade and Mike Mondo. We'll see them in a bit. And Mims, "I beat you fair and square. You're nothing but a speed bump to my destiny, which is the NWA World Heavyweight title." So Pope has a clear goal. I kind of hope he succeeds, because seeing Pope as world champion has been a long time coming. And spoiler alert, I thought Pope would have been a great TNA/Impact world champion. So next up is a very interesting little interview. It's with Kenzie Page. However, it is in her house, which we have seen a couple of times on NWA. She's sitting in the house with the interviewer and her father, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Although I think that's the GM of Crossfire, who we saw wrestle a few weeks ago. Then we have Kylie and Hunter Drake in the backyard in the pool, and it looks like they're about to fool around. We'll get there in a second. First, Kenzie says, "This is just business, Natalya. But I'm going to bring it in our match. Then we see the interviewer catch a glimpse of what's going on outside. Kenzie then turns around, sees it, makes a beeline to the backyard. And she gets there. We see Hunter and Kylie a little surprised. Where Kenzie says, I should punch you both in the face. We're on the path to NWA 77. Kylie then asks, what do you want from me? You are embarrassing me and our family. I've put NWA on my back. She then turns to her father, says, you should have taught her better. It's clear I can't trust anyone, so she walks out. Is this it for Pretty Empowered? Because, honestly, that'd be a very interesting little twist to the story. And does that mean Kenzie is going babyface, potentially? Although she already kind of is. Anyway, next match up. We got Joe Ocasio challenging Brian Idol for the NWA television title. And this was a nice little Clash of Styles match. Really good back and forth. With eventually both guys countering each other's submission attempts. But Idol wins it with the kill switch for the win. And honestly, that's kind of where my notes cut off for this match. This was very... I was having a little trouble keeping up, so I don't have all the notes for it, but I do have some. So we cut to the back somewhere else in the arena, I think, where it's Pastor CeeLo, EC3, and I'm sorry, I forget the dude's name. His tag team partner going on. So CeeLo starts. We are at NWA 77. Aaron Stevens is clearly getting a crew together. So EC3 carries along saying, NWA 77 is our time. Stevens, see you next week. So that tag team match we're going to see next week. Then our last promo of the evening, we got Alexander Hammerstone, where he's calling out Kerry Morton. Where Hammer says, imagine if I was just a one and done for the NWA. Everything in that match was going my way against Thrillbilly. I had the match won, but your boys helped you. And now I got Kerry next week. I'm getting you up for a nightmare. Pendulum. So, that match is definitely going to be very interesting. So then we get a similar promo from Tiffany Nieves as Mike Mondo did, where she's on some pier somewhere, and I have no idea where that is. So she says, while I am a very decorated champion, I'm clearly not coming to NWA 77 alone. I'm the 1%, but I do have some concerns about the NWA. At that point, who I thought was Big Mama, who was a former NWA women's tag champion, Instead, it was some plant. I have no idea who that was. So Tiffany sees her pass by, says, "Look, what's your name?" Woman answers, "My name's Bertha." I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make that voice. It just kind of came out. Tiffany then notices her shirt, says, "You like wrestling?" Bertha answers, "Yeah, I like wrestling." Then Niemi says, "That's what I like about NWA. I appreciate you so much." Oh, actually, that's not actually what happened. Okay, so I do have my notes right. The TV title match was the main event. However, these two promos were in the middle. So I kind of got the order a bit wrong. So, yeah, again, Brian Idol with the kill switch to pick up the win. A bit of an abrupt end for this match, which honestly I enjoyed a whole lot more than the other matches that happened this evening. If there is an edit where it's the two parts of this match stitched together, it could be way better. But with the promos, it just kind of gives the entire show a weird vibe. Like, NWA, the pacing of the match would be a whole lot better if you just do these promos away from the matches. Let's stop doing this. It's annoying. Anyway, overall, first episode of NWA 77 taping was very entertaining and led to a lot of surprising story developments, which I am all for pro wrestling. So that was NWA. We now look at AEW Dynamite. We got a card rundown in which this card was awesome. Then we get Wrestle Dream highlights, which that was very strange, to say the least. Then we get a promo from Hangman Adam Page saying, "Joe, you got your shot and you failed. I warned you after you attacked me with the ops." Oh, this is actually not in the ring. It's after his match at Wrestle Dream backstage. Okay, that's why it's so short. And then he finishes up, "When I find you, I'm going to ruin your life." Which, some fighting words from the cowboy. Cannot wait to see what happens. First matchup on the card, we got the AEW Trios titles on the line. As the Ops, so that's Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Katsuyori Shibata, take on the Hurt Syndicate. That's Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, and MVP. And with all six men in the ring at the same time, you have a little face-off before the bell. Participants leave the ring, get on the apron. We start with Shibata versus Shelton Benjamin, in which, low-key, I didn't know I needed this matchup until I saw this. This little bit of match was so good. They traded holds. Benjamin tries for an ankle lock, in which, if you don't know, Shelton Benjamin, when he was in WWE in like 2003, 2004-ish, he was on a team with Kurt Angle. It was him, Charlie Haas, and Kurt Angle. Team Angle. One of my favorite groups in wrestling. The mat wrestling between these two was great. They then tag in the big boys. You got Lashley in, Hobbs is in, you got the meat chanting started. But then Joe got in the ring, pushes Hobbs back into the corner, puts a towel over his chest, which, that was weird, tags himself in, and Joe and Lashley. I know they teamed before in TNA as the Beatdown Clan, which also included Low Key and someone else. I forget who. These two definitely have some great chemistry. Then we see a bunch of tags in. Hobbs gets in, goes for a power slam. That gets blocked. Benjamin with a clothesline over the top rope. Everyone goes over the top. Joe with a Hobbs with a power slam. Joe with a senton. Shibata with a penalty kick. That only gets a 2 count. So then Joe locks in his coquina clutch. Benjamin looks like he passes out, but then he wakes up and fights out of it. Then hits an impressive DDT, where he starts in the suplex position, brings himself down with Joe in hand, which that was legit. Lashley and Shibata get in. They trade blows and suplexes for a little while. Shibata with a penalty kick, only for a 2. This brings in Joe and MVP. And they just go at it for a little while. MVP hits the ball and elbow drop, only getting a 2 count. Looks like Joe was about to lock in the coquina. MVP gets out of it. Looks like he was going for the playmaker or the play of the day. I forget the name of his finish. Then out comes Ricochet and the Demand. They're on the top of the ramp. That distracts MVP long enough for Samoa Joe to get out of MVP's finish, lock in the coquina clutch for a submission victory, and a retention for the Ops, which I was kind of surprised by that. I wouldn't mind the Hurt Syndicate getting a fun little trios title run. But I'm also not really that disappointed. I do still like the Ops. They definitely have a story continuing. Then, at that point, you see MVP regrouping his boys, pointing at the ramp where the Demand are, and they beeline it, chasing the Demand out of the arena. We then get an in-ring interview with the Ops, mostly started by Samoa Joe, where he says, "First I'll say what a pleasure it is to be here and have a man like Hobbs around these big women here too." So a little cheap jab at the local crowd. Then he continues on to the question, why Joe, why? And it's really simple. It's because I exist. Hangman, I'll haunt you as long as you're the champion, as long as you're on top. No, I'm going to be waiting to knock you down. So I thought that was going to be the end of the promo. Instead, he continues saying, "Hey man, you may think this is some cowboy shit. I'll slap you and make you my bitch. Standing here are the Ops, and we are never lacking." Not a bad catchphrase, but it also is not great. But I understand where he's coming from. Another Joe Hangman match. Yeah, that's going to be a little interesting because I'd like to see Joe and the Ops focus more on the trios titles. But AEW is also kind of lacking in the main event scene because a lot of their main eventers are out hurt. So that's Will Ospreay with his neck. I'm not 100% sure what happened with Swerve, but they're going to be out for a while. So, yeah, maybe keeping Joe in kind of the main event-ish area isn't a bad idea. Then we see Mercedes Moné. She's in the back of, like, whatever fancy rental car that was. I am not a car guy, but that was a cool car. And surrounding the car is these extras. I'll call them what they are. They're extras. Holding all of Moné's belts, in which now she's up to 13. What in the world? Like, and dude, everyone mad that she has 13 belts. Why? Why are you mad at someone else's success? Either way, that was a cool visual. We then cut immediately to Chris Statlander interview. She's backstage in front of, whatever screen that is, saying, Tony, if there's anyone I'm glad I beat the shit out of. I'm happy it's you. But Moné, I don't need to celebrate tonight. I beat Tony twice. I won the AEW Women's title. And I know I'm so much more. Moné, I'm about to surpass you. So how about this? At Full Gear, it's you versus me. I accept. So that was a nicely well done promo interview from Statlander. Full Gear is going to be crazy. That match is going to be absolutely nuts. And we'll also see if Moné loses any of her freshly won titles, which is interesting. So next, we get a Darby Allin promo in the ring, front and center. He's got a towel over his head. It looks like he's covered in bandages. He gets to the ring, grabs a microphone, immediately lays out the flag he had on top of Mount Everest. And he says, before I even climbed Mount Everest, people say I couldn't be the face of the company. Well, I'm willing to go clearly from Saturday, I'm willing to go places other people won't. I die for this place. These marks tell a story. I'll be the one wearing the scars today. And I know the Death Riders won't just go away because I beat their leader. As long as the Death Riders are breathing, I won't be far behind. So, yeah, it looks like we're doing Darby and Mox again. Unless Mox is kicked out of the Death Riders for whatever reason. But, yeah, we'll see what happens there. So then we go backstage, different part of backstage, with a staircase for a Jurassic Express promo, in which I cannot tell you how happy I am these two are back together. So Jack Perry takes the lead, saying, we haven't had a match like that in a while. And people have asked me, why now? Why bring back Jurassic Express? We are here to reclaim everything we lost. The feeling to give this everything we have. And whoever has our tag team titles, know we are coming for you. So nice little fired up promo from Jurassic Express. Them going for the tag titles. Yeah, I'm into it. And then we get our next match. So, announced earlier in the year, Tony Khan announced we will be getting a women's tag team division. And here in this match, the winning team gets to choose their first opponents in the tournament. So our participants, we got Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford, the Triangle of Madness / the Sisters of Sin, so that's Julia Hart and Sky Blue. Then we get a very weird team of Queen Aminata and Jamie Hayter, along with Willow Nightingale and Harley Camera, in which that is honestly the perfect teaming. And we'll see Harley Cameron a little later on. I won't spoil nothing. So anyway, this match was absolutely nuts. I definitely had trouble keeping up a little bit. But ultimately, yeah, this was a very, very fun back and forth from everyone. In the final, push of the match, we had Queen Aminata and Jamie Hayter just destroying was it Julia Hart or was it Sky Blue? It was one of those two, where the finish came with a big old headbutt from Aminata, a Haterade from Jamie Hayter to pick up the win and pick their opponents. Jamie Hayter then grabs a microphone, says, "Isn't tag wrestling fantastic?" That gets a big old reaction, as it should, because tag team wrestling is awesome. So then, Hayter continues. So now we have our choice for opponents for the first round in the tag team title tournament. We're not going to wait for me to choose. I'm going to be choosing right now. So Sisters of Sin, you've been a pain in our asses for far too long. We pick you. So, nice fired up promo from Jamie Hayter, clearly setting a goal. And, it continues the feud between the Triangle of Madness and then Hayter, Queen Aminata, and I think Willow was a part of it too. So, definitely going to be interesting. So, next up, we see Renee Paquette, or was it Renee Paquette? I don't think it was. Standing outside Tony Khan's office, where we hear Young Bucks knocking at the door. They want another money match. With Mac and Nick eventually acknowledging the interviewer, saying, "Yeah, I don't think he's here. I think you went home. We don't know what's next for our team, but we want another money match. And we'll team with absolutely anyone." At that point, Tony Khan, for maybe the third time in AEW's history, walks out of his office. He takes a look at both Young Bucks and says, "Okay, so you want another money match? I'll put the money up. I'll put on $50,000. But this won't be an easy match, as you'll be fighting Jurassic Express and Jet Speed." At that point, the Young Bucks are like, whoa, 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 whoa. We're not fighting in a handicap match. So Tony Khan says, "Alright, I know that. It is going to be a 4-on-4 match with Jurassic Express and Jet Speed versus you guys and this team." And out walks FTR. They take one look at each other. And then we hear Tony Khan say, "We'll do it on Collision." So that got a little bit of a big groan from the crowd. So Stokely Hathaway speaks. He says, "Here, you guys may need this more than I do," handing over whatever amount of money. And then FTR and Stoke walk off. So, yeah, a couple of enemies turning friends. Well, friends. We'll see how long that lasts. Then we go to the Mercedes Moné celebration. Interviewer introduces her. You got a cake in the ring. You got some champagne, along with some glasses. Moné's music then hits. We see the guys who were holding her titles when she first arrived. But we don't see Moné at first. Instead, in the ring, right over the cake, is Puppet Moné. If you don't know what this is, Harley Cameron, in certain segments, asking Moné to team up, would have a puppet of her trying to get them on the same page, which, honestly, I thought that was funny. So, Puppet Moné then says, "I've had 3 title wins in 3 days. I am a global champion. And like I said I'd be." So then she tries to get Renee and the crowd to do this CEO dance, which I didn't realize that was a dance, but whatever. That music then starts playing as Flesh and Blood Moné, that's what I'm going to call her, comes out, and she is pissed. She tells the people holding her titles to get to the back. She then gets in the ring, looks to Renee, who has this big old shit-eating grin on her face, and she says, "You stupid dumbass, you want to mock me? Harley, this is just so pathetic. Weren't you just begging me to team with you? Now you're disrespecting me. Tonight should be about me. This is my celebration. This should be my moment. Becoming Ultimo Moné was the greatest feat in wrestling history. And I want to make me... I'm tired of the disrespect. Oh, you want to laugh at this? You want a good laugh? Laugh at this." She then takes the back of Puppet Moné's head, smushes it right into the cake. Then we see... Honestly, I thought this was Statlander coming up, but apparently it was Harley. She comes up for a little air. And then Moné just starts beating her down, which was very, very interesting. Then from under the ring, I guess, up rose Chris Statlander, who grabs Moné, puts her in an electric chair position on her shoulders, drops her face first into the cake, picked her back up, hit her with a spine buster through the table, which I honestly thought the electric chair driver was supposed to break the table. Then it didn't, and then the spine buster happened, which was... Honestly, that was a heck of a good segment, top to bottom. I can't wait to see this match for Full Gear. That's going to be a lot of fun. Then we get a highlight from the I Quit match from Wrestle Dream. And then we get a Mox promo intercutted with his and Darby Allin's history, where he says, oh, this is actually, again, post-Wrestle Dream. So he's in a bathroom, which looks a little weird. And Mox says, tonight, Darby, it was your strength. Well, now I'm done with games, as it'll be my downfall. Tomorrow is a new day. I get back on track. There is no quit in wrestling. It's what we do. You get on my nerves. And you won. This is not over. I know exactly what I need to do, and I'll do it next. Which leads into our next matchup of the evening, as we got Kyle O'Reilly taking on Jon Moxley. And this match was super back and forth. Way more competitive than I expected. However, the finish came, honestly, I think a bit too fast. With Moxley looking to log in a Juji Katami. But Kyle O'Reilly counters out. Hits with a triangle sleeper in which Moxley gets into the ropes. Then Moxley slingshots Kyle into the ring ropes. Then Kyle and Mox end up on the apron. Kyle with an arm wringer that lands Moxley on the apron. They get back in. Kyle attempts an ankle lock. Then transitions right into a curb stomp. Lets him go. Hits him with a big knee for a 2 count. Moxley then goes to lock in the ankle lock. Kyle fights out of it. Hits a roll through. Locks in the Juji Katami of his own. But Moxley gets out of it. It's a clothesline and a pile driver for a 2 count. Locks in the Bulldog choke. But Kyle O'Reilly gets his hand on the ropes. Hits a big old boot. Moxley looked for the Death Rider, but that got blocked. Kyle locks in the ankle lock. Moxley makes it to the ropes, but instead of the rope break, he climbs rung by rung, gets up, hits an enziguri, goes for his finish, but the ref gets in the way, so Mox pushes the ref over, and that leads to our disqualification. Other refs come out and announce the match has been thrown out due to referee's interference. At that point, we got the rest of the Death Riders and the conglomeration out. They're looking for a fight, but the refs and officials keep them separate. So, yeah, I'm not super excited with like a DQ finish, but it's so rare AEW does it like that. I'll be fine with it. So then this leads to a similar 6-man tag from the beginning. You got the Death Riders, that's Daniel Garcia and Claudio Castagnoli, taking on the conglomeration team of Tomohiro Ishii, Roderick Strong, who is an ancillary member, and Orange Cat City. Well, yeah, this match, everyone got their stuff in. It was very entertaining and very just like quick, but in a way that you can still tell what's going on. A couple of times, Mark Briscoe, that's who it is, looks for a J Driller. A couple of times that gets blocked. Garcia locks in a guillotine choke, but that gets in the ropes. Then after a Wheeler, Hammer, and Anvil, goes for a suplex. That gets blocked. Mark Briscoe with the J-Driller to pick up the win for the conglomeration. Post-match, Pac comes out, attacks Mark Briscoe. This brings out Ishii, and I think Willow Nightingale is out too. Ishii then brawls with Pac. This brings out Jon Moxley, who hits a low blow on Orange Cassidy. Kyle O'Reilly fights back for a little bit. Orange Cassidy then goes for an orange punch. It gets caught by Moxley, which is interesting. He gets tossed from the ring. Death Riders are holding it. Out comes Darby Allin with a steel chair to make the save. After a couple of chair shots to everybody, Orange Cassidy hits an orange punch on Dan Garcia to fight them off. Now, we got a backstage interview with Mercedes Moné, and she is just covered in cake, head to toe. And she's looking for the showers. Oh, you saw what happened out there. I want to sue, blah, blah, blah. Then Moné is asked about the tag team title tournament, women's tag tournament. Before she can answer, in walks Athena, kind of mocking Moné a little bit, saying, "Oh, this is your best look ever." Athena continues, "I clearly have a legacy on my own I want to uphold, while you do the belt collector thing. But it's time we do this again as the women's tag team champions." Moné pauses, stops for a second, turns to Athena, says, "I like the sound of that." So, yeah, definitely an interesting tag team, because then we get our brackets for the women's tag team title tournament. We got Sisters of Sin in there, Willow and Harley, Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford, Sky Blue and Julia Hart. But then a surprise pairing, which honestly I think could maybe get some upsets, maybe get the title run. It's Riho, who recently got back from Japan, and Alex Windsor, a relative newcomer to AEW. Maybe not to their fans, but yeah, that's definitely a very interesting lineup. Can't wait to see what they got next. So next up, we got Kyle Fletcher promo. He comes out with Don Callis saying, "San Antonio, say my full name." So that gets a chorus of boos. He then says, "At Wrestle Dream, I defended my title for the 6th time in months. The tally between me and Mark Briscoe is 3-2. And with that, I am done with him. There's no evening this up. I proved time and again I had his number. Further proof, I'll be your AEW TNT champion for a long, long, long..." At that point, Mark Briscoe interrupts. He's out to the ring, says, "Hey Kyle, as you grow older, you'll learn you don't have to talk so much." Which, great line. Mark Briscoe continues, "And let this be a lesson to you to not leave my name on your lips. You said my name, and now I'm here. Say hello to Mark Briscoe." I don't know if that was intended as a Joe Hendry reference, but that was funny. Mark Briscoe continues, it doesn't have to be a million more times. Give me one more shot at that. What do you say? So then that leads to Don Callis, who has joined Kyle Fletcher in the ring, to grab the microphone and say, Mark, I have something very important to say to you. You're a great wrestler and a hell of an athlete, but you're sounding a little bit desperate. And while I could induct you into the Callis family, but it sounded like your family has been a financial burden. I can't tell you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. The answer is no. So that ends that segment right then and there. We then get the official tournament brackets for the tag team titles for the women. Then we get a Mina Shirakawa interview, which I've definitely missed Mina Shirakawa. She's a hell of a talent and a personality. And she reveals, I haven't heard from Toni Storm since last week, since we lost it all. I figured, why not do this tournament together? Oh, that's another one. Mina Shirakawa and Toni Storm. Then this brings in Thekla, the last member of the Triangle of Madness. Although it does seem like they're trying to separate the two, which could be interesting. So Thekla says, it's clear you have your mind elsewhere tonight, so why don't you and me have a match on Collision? So Mina shakes Thekla's hand, says, Tony will cry when I beat you. So, nice, short, sweet interaction between these two, which is leading to a match, which, yeah, bring it. Hook that up. And finally, we got our main event of the evening, and it's for the AEW Unified title. We got Bandito, who's holding one half of the tag titles and the Ring of Honor title, taking on Unified Champion Kazuchika Okada. Now, Okada technically still holds the All-Atlantic title, International title, and the Continental Cup title, which that shouldn't have been made a title in the first place. So, technically, Okada is a belt collector as well. So, yeah, this match was just good top to bottom. If you need a match you really, really want to watch, go out of your way and watch this. This match was, although a little slow to start, eventually we did get some big bombs, including a frog splash from Bandito, only getting a 2. Okada targeting Bandito's surgically repaired neck with a shoulder breaker, which that looked painful. So painful, Bandito rolled to the outside to take a breath. Okada meets him there, just starts beating the heck out of him. They get back in the ring. Bandito hits an X knee, hits the 21 plex, but only gets a 2 count. Bandito then attempts a Spanish fly off the top, but Okada blocks it. Okada going for a flying knee, whatever. Bandito ducks it. Okada tries for a Rainmaker. That gets blocked into a roll-up for a 2 count. Okada with a big old boot. Whiffs on the big splash. Again, misses the Rainmaker. Eventually, he does hit the Rainmaker, but that gets Bandito back up, hitting the X knee, And the 21 plex, which again gets blocked by Okada. Okada then winds up, hits the Rainmaker for the win. Then at that point, we see other members of the Callis family come out, including Lance Archer, Trent, El Colon. They're all out there celebrating Okada. This brings out Takeshita with his own Tron and music. He gets about midway to the ring on the ramp, but then Callis himself and Kyle Fletcher get out of the ring, make a beeline to Okada to hold him back and keep him out of the ring, as we have a little stare down between these two men. Yeah, honestly, that match is going to be awesome. I think, personally, it should main event the next pay-per-view, but let me know what you guys think. Main reason I did these two reviews now, instead of waiting until Monday, is because we got a double dip on Saturday, where we got AEW Collision, which looks like a great card, and NWA, not NWA, an MLW show, which I'm definitely pretty excited for. So, yeah, I'm definitely excited for the wrestling. Hopefully you guys are too. We'll probably get that review either on Monday, depending on when my cardiology appointment ends, or maybe I'll push it back until Tuesday. I guess we'll see how I'm feeling. Till then, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.